everybody. Welcome to another episode of TNFro is Reading, and I'm your host, Felicia Baxter. This is TNFro broadcasting from Chattanooga. Listen, I still have no sponsors as of yet, so I'm going to shamelessly direct you to my website, Dale'sAngelsInc.com, and check out offers from the following sponsors. I actually can make a pretty significant amount of money just by you clicking on my website. I actually am a publisher for Gayle, which teaches us how to balance mind and body through the practice of yoga and Pilates. And from Alibris, why pay more for books? SodaStream, an economic way to enjoy carbonated beverages in the comfort of your home. And Sea Bear, enjoy the choices offered from the sea. Interesting and fun, and also it does take time to curate or come up with the information of what I want to talk about. You know, read the book, read the paper. Libby's list is, again, the list that I created. These are the books that I actually have on hold at the public library for ebooks, and I have transported most of those into my Amazon book list for book club, and I wanted to just update you on the works that I've added to that list. We'll also be discussing what's in the news, what I'm actually reading, a new segment called Daily Affirmations, featured tweets and posts, as well as conclusions. So what's the deal with Libby's list? What have I actually added? If you look at the list itself, you see most of my additions are either historical fiction or nonfiction. One of the first books that I wanted to go over or just tell you about was Riots I Have Known by Ryan Chapman. The protagonist of this book is an unnamed Sri Lankan inmate who has barricaded himself inside a prison lab in Dutchess County, New York. A riot rages outside, incited by a poem published in the holding pen, the House Literary Journal. This, our narrator's final editor's letter, is his confession. It's an unofficial accounting of events as they happen. It kind of crazy because both the protagonist and the author are both Sri Lankan in origin. The next book is Furious Hours, The Murder, Fraud, and the Last Trial of Harper Lee by Casey Sepp. This book I didn't realize until today that I'm going to have to move this up into the to be read category because it's dope. It's about a character by the name of Reverend Willie Maxwell, who was a rural preacher accused of murdering 5 of his family members for insurance money in the 1970s. With the help of a savvy lawyer, he escaped justice for years until a relative shot him dead at the funeral of his last victim. Despite hundreds of witnesses, Maxwell's murderer was acquitted thanks to the same attorney who had previously defended him, the Reverend, the murder victim. Now, Casey Sett brings this story to life, from the shocking murders to the courtroom drama to the racial politics of the Deep South. At the same time, she offers a deeply moving portrait of one of the country's most beloved writers, Harper Lee, and her struggle with fame, success, and the mystery of artistic creativity. The next book is The British Are Coming, The War for America, Lexington to Princeton, 1775 to 1777, The Revolution Trilogy, Book 1 by Rick Atkinson. And it's just about that. It is about the American Revolution taken by different perspectives. He takes into account the perspective of women, and I think he tries to take into account the enslaved people at the time. The next one is The Impeachers, The Trial of Andrew Johnson and the Dream of a Just Nation by Brenda Wineapple. This book is poignant in the fact that it's coming at a time where we're calling for impeachment, or the impeachment talk is ramping up against our current sitting president. However, she actually started this book deep into the Obama administration, and she didn't finish it until recently, and then now it's being published. That actually has itself to be actually a good read, because it gives me a different perspective on Andrew Johnson and why he should have been impeached. And he truly should have been removed from office with his undermining of Reconstruction. But anyways, the next on the list is Confessions of Franny Langton by Sarah Collins. In this book, a servant and former slave is accused of murdering her employer and his wife in this astonishing historical thriller that moves from a Jamaican sugar plantation to the fetid streets of Georgian London. It's a remarkable literary debut with echoes of Alias Grace, The Underground Railroad, and Paying Guests. Then I am reading simultaneously 2 books, shocker. Unlearn 100 Simple Truths for a Better Life by Humble the Poet, aka Sanwar Singh, and American Kingpin by Nick Bilton. What's in the news? I fuss a lot, and as I said previously, I have a lot to fuss about because I read constantly, it seems, but as I said, one of my favorite things is reading the New York Times. I read or listen to the news. Sometimes it's disheartening, but it always has some weird slant. But I wanted to pick several tidbits that I found interesting in the paper, in the news itself. There's a bill going for Congress now about student loan repayment. This will allow current student loan debt that there is a tax-free loan repayment for employers. It's a win-win for the student as well as for the employers, and it's a way to relieve the $2 trillion debt burden that is crippling new graduates and previous graduates. Another article that I found just crazy, there's an uproar in North Dakota about some dude and his walleye. A walleye is a prehistoric looking fish that is present in the streams of North Dakota. Nobody believes that this guy pulled a 22-pound fish out of the water legally. So now there are recriminations, a big social media backlash, and actually a lawsuit said he caught the fish illegally, and it's a misdemeanor, evidently. So it's so bad that the guy has put his boat up for sale. He ain't fishing no more because of the drama. Also, Eternal Blue is a malware coming to a system near you that we as Americans actually paid for. Evidently, the NSA commissioned and deployed this spying technology as a way to hack into systems and to monitor systems, and it played on vulnerabilities that even Microsoft didn't know it had until they lost it. Now the hackers are holding companies like FedEx, and currently the entire city of Baltimore is being ransomed. They're completely offline. There's some workarounds, but there's still a lot of services that are going um, lacking because they just can't get access to their systems. The big three, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, and governments called what they call a Paris call for trust and security in cyberspace. Um, who wasn't there were the biggest, evidently, cyber threats, to include North Korea, Russia, Iran, China, Israel, and oh yes, the U.S. was visibly and disappointingly not there. And then the last bit of news that had me screaming at the paper uh, was an article about during the boom, hitting Trump is a challenge. This article is actually on the start of the article is actually on the front page of the New York Times. And it made me so angry because how dare you take credit? This is talking to Trump, credit for previous administration advances. You negated, diminished, and made fun of, and since the first day of your time in office, have dismantled the gains with the stroke of a pen of legislation that you did not understand or could never comprehend. The tax cuts to the wealthy and increased spending, again, by the wealthy has kept the party going, but you did none of the heavy lifting. And I agree with Joe Biden when he said, I know President Trump likes to take credit for the economy and the economic growth and the low unemployment numbers, Mr. Biden said at a rally in Philadelphia. President Trump inherited an economy from the Obama-Biden administration that was given to him, just like he inherited everything else in his life. That matches the views of many Democratic voters, and he got that right. And I'm hopeful he or any other candidate that is hoped to unseat him and only allow this person one term before he does something that's going to further decline us or throw us in a well of chaos and discord. And going on to what am I reading? I'm actually, as I said, simultaneously reading two books. The first being American Kingpin. And this book actually caught me a little sideways because I was actually waiting to pick up a package at UPS. So I went to the public library here in Chattanooga and I saw this on one of the shelves. And yes, I binge shop or binge check out at the library. But this book is, and I'm just reading directly from the inside flap. It's the unbelievable true story of a man who built $1 billion online drug empire from his bedroom in Austin, Texas, and almost got away with it. In 2011, a 26-year-old libertarian programmer named Ross Ulbricht launched the ultimate free market, the Silk Road, a clandestine website hosted on the dark web where anyone could trade anything: drugs, hacking software, forged passports, counterfeit cash, poisons, free of the government's watchful eye. But it wasn't too long after the website posted that at the time, Senator Schumer was on the news talking about how the government needed to take it down, and it took a number of years and unlikely resources to actually hack the hacker and to take the website down. However, I think the website just went even more underground and now is more expansive because now we got uh, not just the evolution of digital currency, which is virtually untraceable, but also an expansion of what is being traded on the dark web to include malware like Eternal Blue that has been stolen from governments. So even though there is an ending to this book, the cybercrime traffic and crimes has not stopped. I think it's just only expanded, and we're only seeing this is only a trickle. This was $1 billion enterprise that was taken down, but I think those numbers have doubled and tripled and quadrupled, and it's completely unfathomable what people can get on the web. And one of the things that tripped me out, that tells you just how diabolical this is a conversation between Ross Ulbricht and VJ, one of his friends and hype guy, I guess you could call him. This is conversation from the book. Ross is asking VJ, what are my strengths? VJ answers, you are the Steve Jobs of the online drug world. Awesome. And then Ross answers, awesome. What are my weaknesses? And then it says, your inability to discern between a garter snake and a copperhead. And I think this is apropos because ultimately it's going to bring him down, because the more and more he tried to support the site and the deeper he became involved and the more he tried to cover his tracks, it left electronic breadcrumbs that were going to be his downfall. And this next, that was a crazy segue, but the next book that I'm simultaneously reading is Unlearn by Humble the Poet, aka Kanwar Singh. This book was originally published in 2014, and I came across it as I was listening to the morning show, which is hosted by DJ Envy, Charlemagne the God, and Angela Yee on the morning, and they also have a really brilliant podcast that I also like to listen to, especially for Donkey of the Day. But the book itself was written by Mr. Singh, or Humble, back as I said, in 2014, and DJ Envy was talking about how inspirational the book is and how he writes his daily affirmations right before he meditates. But he says if you want actually help in writing your daily affirmations, this book is a good source for subject to create your daily affirmations. So I'm going to summarize this book, at least the first couple of chapters, by sharing my daily affirmations with you. In life, there are no straight lines. Ideas themselves, how they come to you, and your life in general doesn't keep on the straight and narrow. You basically have there cutbacks and side swipes and off-roading that you actually have to do to be able to have a life worth living. I'm also concentrating on what I can do for myself, and like my writing and my podcast. Those are some of the things that I can control and I can do for myself, and also just posting and talking about it on social media. I can create my own hype. I don't really have to, at this point, have anybody hype me up at this time. Some ideas And the whole premise of Unlearn is getting rid of those things that are not helping you. Ideas are just that. Some ideas you have to double back to, you rewrite them, and then you have to rethink them, you revise it, and you move forward. And you repeat that process over and over again. But you still have to let go of those ideas that simply just don't work. And that's actually okay. You actually have to seek happiness, and the first part of that is to reset your mind. And the reason how to reset your mind is you got to think of happy shit. Meaning, don't pay attention to the shit that spins you out. You got to shut it down, block it, defriend, or just go on radio silence from social media if that's a source of negativity for you. Will you be happy all the time? No, but you'll learn how to enjoy life without cluttering it up with negative ideas. I'm going to work on improving my relationship with my feelings. I got to let go of the darkness to actually let the light and happiness in. I have to be happy for what I have, because I do have a lot, and I'm happy in the pursuit of those things. I got to be happy about being happy and about pursuing happiness. I got to be grateful for the chase. I got to be grateful for a lot of things in this life. And the featured tweet of the post was again from Humble the Poet. He says, make art, make love, make noise, make trouble, just make something. And those are the truest words ever said. In conclusion, I want to share and just be happy and tell you what really makes me happy. At this moment in my life, I do sketch, not all that good, but I do find happiness in it. I like going places and taking great photographs, and I do like traveling. Writing and this podcast, or creating this podcast, also makes me happy. And this is why I'm so going to continue to do this. But, of course, I can't do this for free. It takes time, it takes research. That's why I need you to buy my book, and that's why I need patrons for the podcast. So I'm going to need you to navigate to www.patreon.podbean.com/thetalkingfro to donate to the podcast itself to keep it going. You like content, or you want me to create even better uplifting content, please support the podcast. As well as navigate to www.authorhouse.com/en/bookstore/book details/792-427-not-my-family to purchase my book. And this is another episode of TNFro is Reading, and I'm your host, Felicia Baxter. And I want you to enjoy your day, and remember, just like Humble says, just make something. Thanks. Have a great day.